My dad said I was too feminine to take over the family business, so I built my own and stole his clients. You ever have someone tell you that you're too something for something you've spent your whole life preparing for? Like, you're too sensitive, too dramatic, too much, and you kind of just sit there like, oh, okay, so we're doing that now. Because that's what happened with my dad. My own dad. I still can't wrap my head around it completely. So for context, my family owns this mid-sized HVAC business. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Super glamorous, I know, but we've had it for decades. My grandpa started it, then my dad took over. And growing up, I was always in it, shadowing him during the summers, learning client lists by heart, even drawing up proposals on Canva when I was barely old enough to spell air duct. I was the one who knew how to use spreadsheets and power tools, and I genuinely thought I was next. My younger brother, Josh, total sweetheart. But let's be real, the guy couldn't tell a condenser from a croissant. He was always more into gaming and crypto bros and whatever was trending on YouTube. I love him, but business-wise, not even close. So yeah, I was shocked when the conversation happened, like genuinely blindsided. It was a Thursday. We were at this little brunch spot near his office. I thought we were just catching up like we always do. He ordered his usual, black coffee and eggs Benedict, and I had my overpriced lavender oat milk latte like the feminine creature I am apparently. And right in between bites, he goes, I've been thinking about the business. I smiled. Like a dumb idiot. I thought this was it. So I leaned in and said, yeah? What's on your mind? He gave me this weird look. Not mean. Just serious. And then he said, I think I'm gonna bring Josh in officially. Start training him to take over. Y'all, I almost choked on my avocado toast. I blinked and waited for him to laugh. He didn't. I said, wait, Josh, are you serious? And he just nodded. Calm. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. I was like, Dad, Josh doesn't even know the system. He's never been to a client site. He literally thinks BTU is a streaming service. And that's when he said it. I know, but you're not really a fit for that world either. It's not personal. It's just, you're a little too feminine for the field. You guys, too feminine. I sat there frozen. 'Cause what do you even say to that? What part of being feminine cancels out knowing how to run operations, manage client accounts, and balance payroll? What part of having a neat gel manicure stops me from crawling into attics or negotiating with suppliers? Like, what even is that logic? I was shaking, but I tried to stay calm. I asked him, what do you even mean by that? I've literally worked with you since I was 15. He sighed like I was being difficult. It's just the clients, the guys we work with. It's a different culture. A woman, especially one like you, won't get the same respect. You get that, right? One like me. Let me translate that for you. Polished, girly, dresses nice, doesn't tone myself down just to blend in with the guy crowd. Basically, not the walking flannel shirt wearing stereotype he wanted me to be. And no, I didn't get that. I told him, Dad, I'm not trying to be a mascot. I'm trying to run the business. You think the clients care about my earrings or the fact that I wear perfume? He just shrugged like I was some intern getting denied a raise, not his own daughter who'd put years into this. I left brunch without finishing my coffee. That was the start of the spiral. The next few weeks were rough, like ugly crying in the car kind of rough. I tried to be rational about it. Maybe he had a plan. Maybe Josh had suddenly developed a passion for air ducts. Spoiler, he hadn't. Josh was just as shocked as I was. He even told me, wait, why me? I don't even want to do that crap. But our dad, he was already showing him the ropes, letting him sit in on client meetings, gave him a company email and everything. Meanwhile, I was just cut off. I felt humiliated, not just rejected, dismissed, all because of how I presented. And that's when something in me kind of snapped. Like, okay, you don't think I belong in your business? Fine. I'll build my own, from scratch. No hand-holding, no dad connections. Just me, my brain, my work ethic, and yes, my allegedly too feminine style. And let me tell you, that was the start of something that none of them saw coming. Before I get deeper into this, I'd love to know what city, state, or country you're watching from today. Drop it in the comments below. And if stories about finding your voice and standing your ground speak to you, hit that like button and consider subscribing so you never miss the next one. Thank you, and let's keep going. So yeah, after that brunch, I kind of hit what I'd call my villain origin arc. Not in the evil way, but in that quiet, calculated, okay, bet kind of way, you know? I went home, closed my laptop, and stared at the ceiling for like 4 hours. Then I opened it back up and started researching like my life depended on it. Because in a way, it kind of did. I wasn't just trying to start a business. I was trying to prove something. To myself, to my dad, to every dude who'd ever looked at me like I was a joke because I wore heels to a client meeting or used pastel folders instead of plain black ones. I didn't want to copy my dad's exact business either. That felt like chasing after something that had already rejected me. Instead, I wanted to do it my way, with an actual soul, not just numbers and ductwork and calls from grumpy builders who forgot their invoices. And you know what finally sparked it? A client I'd worked with before I got ghosted from the family business. He messaged me on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I wanted to follow up on that energy efficiency proposal you emailed a while back. Is that still on the table?" I never replied faster in my life. I said, "Actually, I've started my own firm now." A new name, new branding, but I'd love to continue working together. He responded with, if it's you running the show, I'm in. That one sentence flipped a switch. I stayed up till 3 a.m. building a Squarespace website. Pink accents, modern fonts, none of that boring commercial blue-gray layout everyone else uses. Called it Aura Building Solutions. Fresh, clean, female-owned. The tagline, function meets finesse. A little cheesy? Sure, but it was me. I designed everything myself. Logo, color palette, client onboarding docs. I even made custom thank you cards for future installs with little gold foil lettering that said, "You're in good hands." Meanwhile, I used my savings, the same money I'd put aside assuming I'd take over my dad's business someday, to buy my own tools, hire a freelance project manager, and rent out a tiny little office space. It wasn't glamorous. There were water stains on the ceiling and one of the lights flickered constantly, but it was mine. And here's the twist that I didn't even see coming. As soon as I posted about it on LinkedIn, just a cute big things coming kind of post with a pic of my new office keys, I got like 27 DMs from former clients of my dad's company. Some of them were subtle. Congrats. Hope to work with you soon. Others were bold. Are you taking commercial bids yet? I'd rather deal with someone who knows what they're doing. I was floored, because these were the same people my dad said wouldn't take me seriously. The same ones he was so sure wouldn't want a woman like me running things. Apparently, professionalism, communication, and follow-through actually matter more than gender. Who knew, right? First, I didn't want to poach clients. I really didn't. It felt petty. But the thing is, I didn't go looking for them. They came to me. 'Cause I had built those relationships. I'd earned their trust. My dad just never gave me credit for it. And listen, the first job I landed, it was a full retrofit for this old boutique hotel downtown. I walked into that first consultation wearing my favorite cream blazer and nude pumps. Project lead was this gruff, no-nonsense guy named Miguel. Kind my dad would say wouldn't respect someone like me. You know what Miguel said after our pitch? He said, "You're more prepared than any contractor we've ever dealt with." I almost cried in the parking lot. We got the job. From there, snowballed. I started posting project updates on Instagram and TikTok. Clean time-lapse, funny behind-the-scenes clips, walkthroughs with music in the background. Stuff my dad's company would never do. They still used stock photos from like 2010. And guess what? People loved it. One of my posts, a quick reel of me sealing HVAC ducting in a silk head wrap and lip gloss, hit 1.2 million views in 5 days. Comments were full of, "Why us women in trades? Can you come fix my building?" And your dad is probably crying right now. Well, he wasn't. Yet. But he was definitely noticing. 'Cause about 2 months into running Aura, I got my first awkward text from him. It said, "Hey, just heard you're working on the Millwood Hotel project. That's one of our accounts." I replied, They reached out to me, said they needed someone who'd actually respond to emails. He left me on red. No congrats. No nothing. And you know what? That stung more than I thought it would. Like, despite everything, there was still this part of me that wanted him to say, "You're killing it." That tiny little sliver of daughter still trying to impress Dad. But I was done waiting for his approval. Because the numbers didn't lie. I had 5 active contracts, 3 more in negotiations, a full-time assistant, a 4.9 star rating on Google, and a waitlist 2 months out, all while being too feminine to do the job. So yeah, business was booming, but emotionally, the messiness was far from over. Because as my company grew, so did the tension with my family, and that brings us to the first real confrontation. Okay, so you know those family dinners where everyone's smiling on the outside, but internally it's like emotional dodgeball? Yeah, welcome to my life. This happened around month 3 of running Aura. My aunt was visiting from out of town, so my mom decided to host this big Sunday dinner. She made a whole thing of it. Roast chicken, garlic potatoes, one of those over-the-top Pinterest charcuterie boards that takes 3 hours and gets eaten in 5 minutes. It was supposed to be family bonding. But when I showed up, oh wow, the vibe? So off. I walk in, holding a little lemon tart I picked up from this cute bakery on the way, and my dad barely looks up from his phone. Josh, bless him, gave me a quick "Hey sis," and went back to snacking on cheese like nothing was weird. But you could feel it in the air. That tight, polite energy like everyone had already talked about you before you arrived. And sure enough, mid-dinner my aunt, who meant well truly, turns to me and goes, "I saw your post about that hotel project. That's huge. Your dad must be so proud." And I swear I heard a fork clink in slow motion. I smiled and said, "Thanks. Yeah, it's been a ride, but I'm loving it." My dad didn't say anything, just sipped his wine and cut his chicken like I'd mentioned the weather. Then my aunt, oblivious, adds, "I always thought you'd be the one to take over the family business. You were always the organized one." Josh choked on his water, literally. And my mom gave him this sharp side eye like, "Don't start." And I was sitting there thinking, girl, you have no idea. So I gently said, "Well, I thought that too. But apparently I'm too feminine for it." My aunt goes, "What you mean?" And my dad finally looks up and says, "Get this, that's not exactly what I said." Oh, okay. Here we go. So I ask, "Do you want me to quote it word for word? 'Cause I remember exactly how you said it. You said, 'The clients won't respect someone like you.'" He tries to deflect. I was thinking long-term. This is a tough field. It's not just about being smart, it's about blending in. I stared at him for a second, then calmly asked, "So, blending in means what exactly?" wearing cargo pants and pretending I don't exist outside of work. He shrugged like it was self-explanatory. Josh, trying to play peacemaker, goes, I don't even want to do this, by the way. I told Dad like 3 times already. I'm not built for HVAC life. Dad cuts him off, you'll learn. And I just blinked. Because that right there, that said everything. Josh, the guy with 0 interest, 0 experience, and a literal crypto tattoo on his arm. He'd learn. But me, I'd already learned. I'd already put in the time. I was already thriving. But I wasn't worth betting on because I didn't fit his image of a boss. I stood up, grabbed my purse, and said, anyway, thanks for dinner. I've got invoices to send and actual clients to manage. Aunt Linda muttered, oops, under her breath like she was watching reality TV. And as I walked out, my mom followed me to the door. She whispered, you know he's just old school, it's not about you. But it was about me. All of it. That dinner confirmed what I already knew. I wasn't going to win him over with results. No amount of success would make him admit he was wrong. Because it wasn't just about business. It was ego. His daughter outshining his legacy? Not a story he wanted to tell at barbecues. But guess what? It was happening. And soon, the story was about to get a whole lot juicier. 'Cause that little hotel project, it led to something massive. Like, client list shifting massive. But I'll get to that. Let me tell you first what happened the next time one of his clients called me to redo a job his team completely botched. Oh yeah, karma was getting real bold. Okay, so, you know how in movies there's always that one turning point where everything shifts? Yes. For me, it was this phone call. Out of nowhere. Completely unplanned, but absolutely game-changing. So let's rewind just a tiny bit. About 3.5 months after launching Aura, I started noticing something weird. My site traffic was going up, like way up, but it wasn't all from social. Some of it was coming from Google searches for my dad's company. Like people were finding me while looking for him. First I thought it was a glitch. I even told my assistant, Tasha, can you check the back end again? There's no way we're pulling their traffic. But nope. It was real. Turns out word was starting to spread. Not just that I'd started my own company, but that I was actually good. And then came the call. It was a Wednesday. I remember because I just spilled half my iced coffee down the front of my blouse and was trying to dry it under the office hand dryer like a gremlin. My phone buzzes and it's an unknown number with a local area code. I answer. This is Aura, how can I help? The guy on the line? His voice was clipped. Professional. Kinda grumpy. He goes, hi, I'm looking for someone who can assess a system install. Your name came up. Are you available for a walkthrough this week? I said sure, asked for details, and the second he gave me the address, my stomach dropped. 'Cause I knew that building. Not just vaguely, like I had literally helped spec the HVAC system for that complex when I was still working with my dad. It was a medical co-op in a newer part of town. 4 stories. Mixed use. We'd done the bid last year. I even remembered the carpet color in the office. It was hideous, by the way, kind of like greenish beige depression. So I said, real careful. Did my dad's company already handle the install? And the guy goes, without hesitation, they did. That's the problem. He then launched into this 5-minute rant. Apparently the system was undersized, there were airflow issues on 2 floors, and the thermostats were placed so weird that patients were sweating in one exam room and freezing in the next. It was a disaster, he said. I was told you had experience with this kind of thing. Think you can give me a second opinion? I had to mute the phone for a second because I was so close to laughing. 'Cause this was exactly what my dad was afraid of. His clients finding out that I didn't just know what I was doing, I was better. I took the walkthrough. I showed up 2 days later in tailored trousers, my favorite black blouse, hair in a claw clip, clipboard in hand of course, and walked through that entire building like I owned it. And when I say botched job, I'm being generous. The whole install looked rushed, ductwork was poorly sealed, and they used some knockoff brand thermostats I'd literally warned my dad against using twice when I still worked there. So I did my report. Broke it down into 3 sections, what needed fixing, how much it'd cost, and very politely, how it should have been done the first time. Client was impressed. Hired me on the spot. That was the first time I officially corrected one of my dad's jobs. But it wouldn't be the last. You'd think I'd feel bad, right? Like some sense of guilt? Nah. I tried. I showed up. I earned it. He's the one who shoved me out because I didn't fit his mold. Now I was out here building my own version of success, with pastel branding and proper duct sealing, thank you very much. And then came the fallout. Word started spreading in the local contractor circle. I know because one of the suppliers accidentally spilled tea during a delivery. He goes, so, you're the one that's fixing Johnson Co-op, huh? That's gonna sting. I just smiled. Yeah, well, quality matters. You could feel the shift happening. And then Josh called me. Random Wednesday night. I was eating this pasta in my pajamas, editing Instagram reels, and my phone lit up. Josh, do not engage. Yes, that's how I had him saved. I picked up, already bracing myself. He goes, yo, Dad's freaking out. I paused. About what? The co-op project. He found out they rehired you. He's like actually mad. Like real mad. Keep saying it's embarrassing and that you're poaching clients. I blinked. Did I reach out to them? Nope. Did I mess up the first install? Nope. Did I do a better job on budget and with 5-star Google reviews to prove it? Yep. Well then, Josh sighed. I told him this would happen. You're good at this, dude. I don't know why he keeps acting like you're just some influencer with a tool belt. That part hit. 'Cause yes, I make videos, talk about HVAC stuff on TikTok, but I also do the actual work. I write bids. I measure airflow. I troubleshoot thermostat wiring. Every single project I touch, I earn. So I told Josh, I'm not gonna shrink myself to fit someone else's idea of what success looks like. If Dad's ego can't handle that, that's on him. And I meant it. But things were only getting more dramatic from there, because right around then, a second one of my dad's clients reached out. And this one? Oh, this one had history behind it. The guy was my contact originally. I'd nurtured that relationship for years. And now he was coming back, asking if I was available for a big commercial project in the new business park across town. When I told him I had room in my schedule, he said, "Great." I was hoping I could deal with someone competent this time. The shade? Direct. The satisfaction? Immaculate. But also terrifying. 'Cause if I said yes, there was no going back. No pretending like this wasn't open warfare now. It would be me officially stepping into my dad's space, not just coexisting but outshining him. I was nervous. I won't lie, but I took the job. And that decision? That choice to stop playing it safe and just own it? It was the beginning of the end for my relationship with my dad as I'd known it. It was literally the last straw for him. 'Cause less than a week after I signed the contract for the new commercial build, my dad showed up at my office. Unannounced. No text. No, hey, can we talk? Just the man himself standing in the glass doorway of my little office lobby, arms crossed, jaw set like this was an intervention. Tasha, my assistant, peeked her head around the corner and whispered, Your dad's here?" I looked up from my desk, confused. "You said what?" She tilted her head toward the front. Like right now. He's just standing there. So I walked out front, heart pounding, palms sweaty, trying not to look like I was 12 again about to get lectured for forgetting to unload the dishwasher. And there he was, my dad, in his usual work boots and company polo. Except this time, his expression wasn't the usual passive-aggressive, I know better than you look. No, this was full-on tight-jawed disappointment. "Hey," I said, neutral tone. "Didn't know you were stopping by." He stepped inside, glanced around at the blush-pink accent wall, the houseplant in the corner, the little neon sign that said, "She built this." I could see the judgment radiating off him. Then he goes, "So this is it, huh?" I nodded. "Yep. This is Aura." Long pause. Then he said, "You've got my clients calling you now." My brain was already spiraling, but I kept it calm. I didn't steal anyone if that's what you're implying. Every single person that's reached out to me did it on their own. I never contacted them first. He scoffed. "Still, it's not a good look." I crossed my arms. Not a good look for who? For me? Or for you? Silence. So I kept going. "You told me I was too feminine. You shut me out of a business I helped build. You gave Josh a title he didn't even want. I walked away, built something from nothing, and now that it's working, now it's a problem?" He stared at me for a second. Then he said something I wasn't ready for. "I never thought you'd actually go through with it." That part hit like a punch in the stomach. Like wow, he didn't even think I had it in me. It wasn't just bias, it was doubt. Straight up underestimation. I blinked. "Well, now you know." He shook his head like I was the one being unreasonable. "This isn't how things are done. You don't undercut family." I nearly laughed. "Oh, family? You mean the same family that told me I didn't belong in the one place I worked for over a decade? That family?" He ran a hand down his face. "I was trying to protect you." I tilted my head. "From what? Success? Independence? Running circles around your crew?" He didn't answer. So I said the part that had been sitting on my chest for months. "You weren't protecting me, you were protecting your image. You didn't want a daughter in charge because it messed with the way you think leadership should look." Silence. Again, he finally muttered, "You've made your point." Loud and clear. And then he walked out. Just like that. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say goodbye. Just turned and left. Tasha peeked around the corner again, wide-eyed. Do I need to order snacks or something?" That felt intense. I just exhaled. Nope. That was overdue. And yeah, it hurt. I'd wanted that conversation to feel victorious, but it didn't. It felt like the final page of a chapter one never asked to end. Still, that moment also gave me something back. Freedom. I wasn't waiting around anymore for his approval. I wasn't hoping he'd call and say, "Hey, I'm proud of you." Because at that point, I realized something kind of wild. I didn't need him to be proud because I was finally proud of myself. And if that were the end of the story, it would still be a win. But oh no, there's more. 'Cause a month later, I got a call from a very unexpected name on one of my old spreadsheets, one of his biggest clients. And what they asked me, I swear I almost fell out of my chair. That was not an exaggeration. This was one of the cornerstone contracts of his entire operation, a multi-site corporate account that had been with him since before I was even old enough to spell HVAC. We're talking big money. Kind of client that pays on time, signs multi-year maintenance deals, and drops your company name in every preferred vendors directory within a 100-mile radius. Let's call them Everton Holdings, just to keep things clean. Now, I'd worked on that account. Back in the day. I was the one who redesigned their maintenance tracking sheets. I streamlined the service request process. I even brought donuts to their office every third Tuesday because their office manager liked lemon glaze. So yeah, I knew them. But when I left the business, I didn't even try reaching out. I assumed they'd stay loyal to my dad. I mean, they've been clients for 15 years? So imagine my confusion when I saw Everton Holdings pop up on my caller ID. I picked up thinking it was a mistake or maybe they needed a copy of something old. Instead, the facilities director, let's call her Dana, goes, "Hey, so I'm going to cut straight to the chase. Are you taking on new corporate clients?" Pause. I blinked. Possibly. What kind of scope are we talking about? And that's when she drops it. She says, "We've been having issues with your dad's team. Missed service calls. Wrong filters being installed. And honestly, I miss how things ran when you were our point of contact." I nearly dropped my phone. I just said, "Wow, I appreciate that. I had no idea." And Dana goes, "So if you're available, we'd like to switch to Aura. We're ready to terminate the current contract. We just need someone who'll actually answer emails and not talk down to our staff." That last part? Not talking down to our staff? Ouch. I didn't even need to ask who that was about. Now here's the kicker. Taking this contract would mean publicly replacing my dad's company. This wasn't just a referral or a quiet switch behind the scenes. This was a public, official announcement. Everyone in the local network would see it, and I had about 30 seconds to make a decision that could literally change everything. So I told her, "I'll have my assistant send over our commercial onboarding forms by the end of the day." Dana laughed. Perfect. I already told accounting to prep the switch. That night I stared at the ceiling again. Full circle moment, right? Except this time, I wasn't spiraling. I was strategizing. I knew this move would get back to him fast. Too fast. So I tried to prepare. I had Tasha draft the press release. Nothing flashy. Just a simple, "We're excited to welcome Everton Holdings to the Aura family" kind of thing. Posted it to our socials with a clean image of one of our vans and a fresh install site. And then boom. By the next morning, my phone was blowing up. Comments, DMs, email inquiries. Even one guy who I'd never worked with before who literally said, "I've been waiting for someone to dethrone the old guard. Let's talk." I won't lie, it felt so good. But of course, you know who did see it. My dad. How? 'Cause Josh sent me a screenshot of their office group chat. He didn't mean to, by the way. He meant to send it to his friend and accidentally sent it to me. And in that screenshot, my dad had forwarded my announcement to the team with the caption, "This is getting out of hand." Like I was some loose cannon instead of a licensed, qualified businesswoman running a team of 6 and managing multi-million-dollar bids. Josh's only reply to him was, "Or maybe she's just better at this." I read that message 8 times. I never thought I'd hear my brother say that. Now, I wish I could tell you that my dad finally called to congratulate me. Spoiler, he didn't. Instead, I heard through the grapevine that he pulled the team into a recommitment huddle, whatever that means, like a corporate therapy session for hurt pride. Meanwhile, I was hiring another project manager, expanding my service radius, designing merch for crying out loud, 'cause people were asking for branded hats and tool bags. The wildest part? Clients weren't just choosing me, they were rooting for me. One guy even said, "Your story's what finally convinced my daughter she can go into trades." That made me cry in the office bathroom. The good kind of cry. The holy crap, this is bigger than me kind. 'Cause somewhere along the way, this stopped being about proving my dad wrong and started being about proving that the things he thought were weaknesses were actually my superpowers. My empathy, my eye for detail, my polished look, my refusal to talk over people in meetings, my refusal to show up looking like I just rolled out of bed. The aesthetic, the care, the presence, it all mattered. Clients saw it. Staff saw it. Even my brother saw it. And deep down, I think my dad saw it too. He just didn't know how to admit it. Alright, buckle in, because this is where everything sort of collided. You know how sometimes the universe just lines things up in the most painfully poetic way? That was this moment. It felt like something out of a scripted series, but no, it was real. It happened. I still replay it in my head like I'm watching it on Netflix. So, my city does this annual thing called the Emerging Leaders in Trade and Development Awards. I know, sounds like a mouthful, but basically it's a big networking event where they recognize up-and-coming businesses and entrepreneurs in trades and infrastructure. Guess who got nominated? Me. And not just in a thanks for showing up way. I was one of 3 finalists in the Innovation and Field Operations category, which is kind of a big deal considering 90% of the other nominees were companies that had been running for decades, usually passed down through multiple generations. Aura wasn't even a full year old. And yet there I was, finalist, glossy name badge, silk blazer, standing in a room full of mostly middle-aged men in navy suits and golf watch tans. Tasha came with me, obviously. She wore sparkly heels and a velvet jumpsuit and kept whispering, "Babe, you're gonna win, I feel it." Manifesting. I saged my purse before we left. And I laughed. I did. But I also felt like I might throw up. Then I saw him, standing in the back near the bar. My dad. I froze. Not because I didn't expect him to show up. He's been going to these events for years. But because I didn't expect him to look at me the way he did. Like a stranger. He was dressed in his usual slightly too big sport coat. Hands in his pockets. No drink. Just standing there like a guy watching the train he missed pull out of the station. I tried not to let it throw me. And then they called my name. And the 2025 Innovation in Field Operations Award goes to Aura Building Solutions. The applause was loud, but honestly, all I could hear was my heartbeat. I walked up, heels clicking like a drum roll, and took that glass award like it weighed 20 pounds. Not because it was heavy, but because everything behind it was. They handed me the mic for a short thank you. I took a breath, smiled, and said, I started Aura after being told I didn't belong in this space, that I was too much of something and not enough of something else. And yet, here we are, building things, fixing what's broken, creating space for people who don't always get one. Pause. And to every woman who's ever been underestimated in a room full of tools and clipboards, you don't have to fit the mold to build the whole house. Mic drop. Or at least, soft mic set down because we respect the tech crew. I looked out over the crowd and for a split second, just one, I locked eyes with my dad. He didn't smile, didn't clap, didn't nod, but he looked. That was the first time we'd made eye contact since the day he came to my office. And let me tell you, it was one of the most bittersweet moments of my entire life. Because I wasn't looking for revenge in that moment. I wasn't even angry. I just wanted him to see it. To see me. And whether he liked it or not, he did. Through the ceremony, people came up to me one by one. Clients. Vendors. A woman from a union chapter who asked if I'd come speak at their mentorship event. Someone asked where I got my shoes. Another asked if we had internships. And my dad? He was gone. No goodbye. He just left. And maybe that should have crushed me. Maybe the old version of me would have driven home sobbing. But you know what I felt? Peace. 'Cause by that point, I didn't need his applause. The applause I got was earned. From people who believed in me. Who saw the work. The hustle. The long nights. The literal bruises on my arms from installs. The spreadsheets. The team meetings. The heart I poured into every single job. And most importantly, from myself. I drove home that night with the award on the passenger seat and a half-eaten cupcake in my hand. They had a dessert table. Obviously, I grabbed extras, and I just kept whispering, you did it. You really did it. Okay, so after that award ceremony, I thought the story was pretty much wrapped. Like that was the ending, right? The poetic full circle. The standing ovation. Cue credits. Fade to black. Nope. 'Cause 1 week later, exactly 7 days after I walked off that stage, I got the message. He finally said it. Sender? Josh. I swear I stared at it for like a full minute before even clicking. Like my brain was already bracing for chaos. What did he say? Was it shade? Was it another weird dadism about family values and loyalty and cargo pants? But no, it was just, he said you were right. That's it. Word for word. I literally sat back in my office chair and reread it 3 times. Not because I didn't understand, but because I couldn't believe he said it. My dad. The man who once said I was too feminine for a trade I could probably teach a college course on. The man who gave my little brother the keys to a business I practically built from the ground up, and called it protection. He said I was right. And the thing is, I wasn't even looking for that anymore. I wasn't checking my inbox hoping for validation. But getting it? It hit something deep. Not because I needed his permission to feel successful, but because for so long I carried this secret ache. This voice in the back of my head that kept whispering, maybe he just couldn't see you. Maybe he never will. But he did. At some point, maybe while watching me accept that award or reading client reviews online or hearing my name in his own office more than his company's, it clicked. He knew. Now, did he call me? No. Did he send a card? No. Did he so much as leave a heart emoji on my Instagram post? Absolutely not. But 4 words. He said you were right. That's all I needed. Josh said he looked tired when he said it. Not bitter. Just like a man who'd finally stopped swimming against the current. He added in the email, he's not great at emotions, but I think he's proud. He's just never gonna say it the way you deserve to hear it. And I thought about that for a long time. It doesn't erase what happened. The years of work I did under someone who refused to see my worth. The way I had to go out and build an empire just to be taken seriously. But I'm not doing this for him anymore. I'm doing it for me. For every girl who ever got told she was too much or not enough. For every woman who walked into a job site and got talked over. For every daughter who got replaced by her brother because someone decided she didn't look like a leader. I look like a leader. I built something that's not just profitable, it's respected. Real. It makes people feel safe and seen and valued. And I did it with highlighter in my purse and French tips on my hands. And I didn't even have to become less of myself to succeed. I just had to become more of myself than I ever thought possible. That brings us to where I am now. Aura is expanding. We just hired our 7th employee. We're launching an apprenticeship program. Tasha's getting her own office because I can't keep watching her use a filing cabinet as a makeshift standing desk. And next month, I'm speaking at a regional tradeswomen summit. Do I still get weird comments from some old school types? Sure. There's always someone clutching their metaphorical pearls at the sight of a pink clipboard. But now those people don't scare me. They remind me that I'm doing something new. Something they can't categorize. And that's the point. My dad may never fully say everything I wish he would, and that's okay. 'Cause I said it to myself first. Alright, so here we are. You'd think after all that, the business, the award, the tiny but mighty 4-word confession from my dad, things would just settle, tie themselves up neatly like the end of a teen drama finale. And in some ways they did, but not in a storybook way. More like real life with a soft glow filter. So it was a random Friday. I was at the office late finishing proposals. Tasha had gone home early because her dog had, and I quote, a dramatic allergy to grass. I can't make this up. I was halfway through a cold oat milk chai when the door buzzed. We weren't expecting clients. I walked over, checked the camera, and yep, it was him. My dad. I opened the door slowly, heart already thudding, wondering if this was going to be a repeat of the last time he randomly showed up. But he wasn't holding tension this time. He was holding a white bakery box. Hi, I said. He nodded. Hey. Long pause. Then he lifted the box slightly and said, your mom said these were your favorite. Inside, lemon cupcakes. From that bakery, the one I used to bring donuts from when I worked for him. I couldn't help it, I smiled. They still are. We stood there in weird silence for a second. Then he motioned toward the lobby chairs and asked, got a minute? I nodded. Sure. We sat. He set the box down between us. Didn't make a speech, just sat back and looked around at the space. The pink accents. The she built this neon. Perfectly labeled filing drawers. Then he looked at me. I saw the thing online. That big job out in Harbor Point. That was yours. I nodded. Yep. Closed it last week. He gave a slow exhale. That's big. Yeah, I said, trying not to sound smug. It is. Another pause. Then, in the smallest voice I've ever heard from him, he said, I was wrong. About you. About all of it. For a second, I literally thought I imagined it. Like, was this a cupcake-induced hallucination? But he meant it. I didn't think you'd want it. Not the way I did. I thought maybe you were trying to prove a point. I tilted my head. And, he smiled, small but real. You proved it. And then some. I wasn't expecting to get emotional, but I did. Not like full crying, but that soft-eye, tight-throat kind of feeling. I'm proud of you, he added after a moment. And you know what? That's all I needed. Not an apology. Just that. We didn't hug. That's not his style. But when he stood up to leave, he paused at the door and said, your mom wants to know if you're coming to Sunday dinner. I smirked. Only if there's extra garlic potatoes. He chuckled. I'll tell her. And just like that, he left. So yeah, that was my full circle moment. Just a quiet, calm realization that I didn't need to fight to be seen anymore. 'Cause I already am. I'm running a business that reflects who I am. I've built a team that values people over egos. My inbox is full, my projects are booked months out, and yes, I still show up to job sites in a matching blazer and lip gloss. 'Cause being feminine was never a flaw. It was the thing that set me apart. The thing that made clients trust me. The thing that made this business mine. And as for my dad, we're figuring it out. He still doesn't understand TikTok. Probably never will. But last week he emailed me a photo of one of my vans at a job site with the subject line, saw this on 8th Street. Looks sharp. No signature. No emojis. Classic dad behavior. And me? I'm off to send a few invoices, finalize a solar retrofit quote, and maybe eat one of those leftover lemon cupcakes in the break room while Tasha tells me about her dog's dramatic return from the vet. 'Cause this is what my version of success looks like. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Really appreciate you listening today. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing. And if you've been through something similar, I'd really love to hear it down in the comments. We're stronger when we share. See you in the next one.